admitted it. Gerald, all right, you all admit it's something to do with a girl. But how do you know it's the same girl? He looks round triumphantly at them. As they puzzle this out, he turns to Burling after a pause. Look here, Mr. Burling. You stuck a girl called Eva Smith. You've forgotten, but he shows you a photograph of her, and then you remember, right? Burling. Yes, that part's straightforward enough. But what then? Gerald. Well, then he happens to know that Sheila once had a girl sacked from Millward's shop. He tells us that it's the same Eva Smith, and he shows her a photograph that he recognizes. Sheila. Yes, the same photograph. Gerald. How do you know it's the same photograph? Did you see the one your father looked at? Sheila. No, I didn't. Gerald. And did your father see the one he showed you? Sheila. No, he didn't, and I see what you mean now. Gerald. We've no proof it was the same photograph, and therefore no proof it was the same girl. No, take me. I never saw a photograph, remember. He got me out by suddenly announcing that this girl changed her name to Daisy Renton. I gave myself away at once because I'd known a Daisy Renton. Burling eagerly. And there wasn't the slightest proof that this Daisy Renton was really Eva Smith. We've only his word for it. And with his word for it that he was a police inspector, and we know now he was lying. So he could have been lying all the time. Gerald, of course he could. Probably was. And now what happened after I left? Mrs. Burling, I was upset because Eric had left the house, and this man said that if Eric didn't come back, he'd have to go and find him. Well, that made me feel worse still. And his mum was so severe, and he seemed so confident. Then quite suddenly, he said I'd seen Eva Smith only 2 weeks ago. Burling. Those were his exact words. Mrs. Burling. And like a fool I said yes, I had. Burling. I don't see now why you did that. She didn't call herself Eva Smith when she came to see you at the committee, did she? Mrs. Burling. No, of course she didn't. But feeling so worried when he suddenly turned on me with those questions, I answered more or less as he wanted me to answer. Sheila. But, Mother, don't forget that he showed you a photograph of the girl before that, and you obviously recognize it. Gerald. Did anyone else see it? Mrs. Burling. No, he showed it only to me. Gerald. Then, don't you see, there's still no proof it was the same girl. He might have showed you the photograph of any girl who applied to the committee. And how do we know she was really Eva Smith or Daisy Renton? Burling. Gerald's dead right. He could have used a different photograph each time, and we'd be none the wiser. We may all have been recognizing different girls. Gerald. Exactly. Did he ask you to identify a photograph, Eric? Eric. No. He didn't need a photograph by the time he'd got round to me. But obviously, it must have been the girl I knew who went round to see Mother. Gerald. Why must it? Eric. She said she had to have help because she wouldn't take any more stolen money. And the girl I knew had told me that already. Gerald. Even then, that may have been all nonsense. Eric. I don't see much nonsense about it when a girl goes and kills herself. You lot may be letting yourself out nicely, but I can't. Nor can Mother. We did her in all right. Burling eagerly. Wait a minute. Don't be in such a hurry to put yourself into court. That interview with your mother could have been just as much a put-up job, like all this police inspector business. The whole damn thing can have been a piece of bluff. Eric angrily. How can it? The girl's dead, isn't she? Gerald, what girl? There were probably 4 or 5 different girls. Eric, that doesn't matter to me. The one I knew is dead. Berlin, is she? How do we know she is? Gerald, that's right, you've got it. How do we know any girl killed herself today? Berlin, looking at them all triumphantly. Now answer that one. Let's look at it from this fellow's point of view. We are having a little celebration here and feeling rather pleased with ourselves. Now he has to work a trick on us. Well, the first thing he has to do is to give us such a shock that after that he can bluff us all the time. So he starts right off. A girl has just died in the infirmary. She drank some strong disinfectant. Died in agony. Eric, all right, don't pile it on. Berlin, triumphantly. There you are, you see. Just repeating it shakes you a bit. And that's what he had to do, shake us at once, and then start questioning us, until we didn't know where we were. Oh, let's admit that. He had the laugh of us all right. Eric, he could laugh his head off, if I knew it really was all a hoax. Berlin, I'm convinced it is. No police inquiry. No one girl that all this happens to. No scandal. Sheila, and no suicide. Gerald, decisively. We can settle that at once. Sheila, how? Gerald, by ringing up the infirmary. Either there's a dead girl there, or there isn't. Berlin, uneasily. It will look a bit queer, won't it? Ringing up at this time of night. Gerald, I don't mind doing it. Mrs. Berlin, emphatically, and if there isn't... Gerald, anyway, we'll see. He goes to the telephone and looks up a number. The others watch tensely. Bromley 8986. Is that the infirmary? This is Mr. Gerald Croft of Crofts Limited. Yes. We're rather worried about one of our employees. Have you had a girl brought in this afternoon who committed suicide by drinking disinfectant, or any like suicide? Yes, I'll wait. As he waits, the others show their nervous tension. Berlin wipes his brow. Sheila shivers. Eric clasps and unclasps his hands, etc. Yes, you're certain of that? I see. Well, thank you very much. Good night. He puts down the telephone and looks at them. No girl has died in there today. Nobody's been brought in after drinking disinfectant. They haven't had a suicide for months. Berlin triumphantly. There you are. Proof positive. The whole story's just a lot of moonshine. Nothing but an elaborate cell. He produces a huge sigh of relief. Nobody likes to be sold as badly as that. But, for all that, he smiles at them all. Gerald, have a drink. Gerald smiling. Thanks. I think I could just do with one now. Berlin going to the sideboard. So could I. Mrs. Berlin smiling. And I must say, Gerald, you've argued this very cleverly, and I'm most grateful. Gerald going for his drink. Well, you see, while I was out of the house, I had time to cool off and think things out a little. Berlin, giving him a drink. Yes, he didn't keep you on the run as he did the rest of us. I'll admit now, he gave me a bit of a scare at the time, but I had a special reason for not wanting any public scandal just now. Has his drink now, and raises his glass. Well, here's to us. Come on, Sheila, don't look like that. All over now. Sheila, the worst part is... But you're forgetting one thing I still can't forget. Everything we said had happened really had happened. If it didn't end tragically, Then that's lucky for us. But it might have done. Building jovially. But the whole thing's different now. Come. You can see that, can't you? Imitating Inspector in his final speech. You all helped her kill her. Pointing at Sheila and Eric and laughing. And I wish you could have seen the look on your faces when he said that. Sheila moves towards the door. Going to bed, young woman. Sheila tensely. I want to get out of this. It frightens me that the way you talk. Berlin haughtily. Nonsense. You'll have a good laugh over it yet. Look, you'd better ask her Gerald for that ring you gave back to him, hadn't you? Then you'll feel better. Sheila, passionately. You're pretending everything just as it was before. Eric, I'm not. Sheila, no, but these others are. Berlin, well, isn't it? We've been had, that's all. Sheila, so nothing really happened. So there's nothing to be sorry for, nothing to learn. We cannot go on behaving just as we did. Mrs. Berlin, well, why shouldn't we? Sheila, I tell you, whoever that inspector was, it was anything but a joke. You knew it then. You began to learn something. And now you've stopped. You're ready to go on in the same old way. Berlin mused. And you're not, eh? Sheila, no, because I remember what he said, how he looked, and what he made me feel. Fire and blood and anguish. And it frightens me, the way you talk, and I can't listen to any more of it. Eric, and I agree with Sheila. It frightens me too. Berlin, well, go to bed then, and don't stand there being hysterical. Mrs. Berlin, they are overtired. In the morning they'll be as amused as we are. Gerald, everything's all right now, Sheila. Holds up the ring. What about this ring? Sheila, no, not yet. It's too soon. I must think. Berlin, pointing to Eric and Sheila. Now look at the pair of them. The famous younger generation who know it all, and they can even take a joke. The telephone rings sharply. There is a moment complete silence. Berlin goes to answer it. Yes? Mr. Berlin speaking. What? Here. But obviously the other person has rung off. He puts the telephone down slowly and looks in a panic-stricken fashion at the others. Berlin. That was the police. A girl has just died on her way to the infirmary after swallowing some disinfectant, and the police inspector is on his way here to ask some questions. As they stare guiltily and dumbfounded, the curtain falls.